My question is, what can we give and take from this world?
There are three kinds of people in the world: the takers, the givers, and the matchers. The takers are those who are always concerned with what they get in any situation. If the project is succeeded, what credit do they get in it? If the business has succeeded, what is their profit in it? If the relationship is going well, how does it satisfy their own needs? So these are the takers of the world. And then there are the givers. They are concerned with helping to whatever extent they can. If they are in a friendship, how can they help their friend? If they are in a company, can they assist in the growth of the organization? If something has succeeded, how can they give the credit to the others? These are the givers. And then there are the matchers who see that if they've given something, what is it that they have got in return? And does it match what they have given? So if they have worked hard for something, for a company, have they got sufficient remunerations? In other words, they've got their eyes both on the giving and the taking. Now, as we are becoming more and more aware in this information age, we are realizing that we are in an interconnected world. We are not insulated from the rest of this world or from the rest of the people, and we are all dependent upon each other. Global warming has made us all painfully aware that our actions are going to impact the whole world and ultimately impact us, ultimately impact our own future generations. And that is why it's a great folly not to consider the impact of our actions upon others, upon the environment, upon society, upon country. And that is why we all must consider both these processes, the taking and the giving. And that is why your question is so important. Youth in my generation would not ask this question. They were more concerned with taking. And I give it to the credit of the youth of this generation that they are considering what they are giving as well. Now, first of all, think about what we are taking. This question doesn't need much thought to be answered. At every moment, we are taking from the world. In order to survive, we are breathing. Without the air around us, we can't live for even 5 minutes. Without the water that we drink, we can't live for 5 days. Without the food that we eat, we cannot live for more than 50 days. So we are taking so much from the environment. That is why our Vedic religion, which we call Varnashram Dharma, had as a part of it the recognition of 5 debts that are incumbent upon all of us human beings. And there were processes established in this Vedic Dharma for releasing ourselves from these 5 debts, which are also called the 5 rins. So the first is our debt to the celestial gods who are providing us with the sunlight, the water, the cultivable earth, the climate, the monsoon, etc. So to feel indebted towards the celestial gods for what they do to make us live. The second is our debt to the sages, There are sages living in the Himalayas. There are sages living in other planets, in other celestial abodes, who are by their tremendous power influencing the affairs of the world and guiding it in accordance with their abilities and powers. So, to feel indebted towards these sages for what we have today. The third is our debt. So, the first is called Dev Rin. The second is called Rishi Rin. The third is called Nri Rin, our debt to other human beings. For example, we are indebted to the person, to Michael Faraday, who first introduced the concept of electricity to all of us, and because of whom we have this microphone available. We are indebted to Thomas Alva Edison, who tried 1,000 times and finally invented the electric bulb because of which we can read at night. So our debt to other human beings is infinite in extent. Then our debt to all other living beings. We are sitting on this earth. Now, you have read in the life sciences that there are so many living beings that make this earth cultivable. For example, the earthworm. For example, the bees who by their activity pollinate these plants and ensure the continuance of the plant kingdom. We are indebted to the bees. Recently, there was a Time magazine with the cover article, "A World Without Bees." Scientists have realized that the population of bees has suddenly drastically started dropping. The reason being the pesticides, etc., that are being used. So it's going to be, they fear or dread a world without bees. They cannot imagine what will happen if the bee population were to drop or go anywhere towards zero. So we have our debt to other living beings. And similarly, we have our debt to our own ancestors. The hereditary traits that we have acquired from them, the social and cultural traits that we have acquired from them. So we are receiving so much from the world that we really don't need to contemplate and ponder about what can I get from this world. We are already getting. Now, when it comes to the giving, the first thing we need to give is our sense of gratitude. To acknowledge our debt to everyone, to this whole creation. And that acknowledgement of debt creates a grateful heart. And from that grateful heart comes true giving. So first of all, our debt to our parents, our ancestors, the sages, the celestial gods, the living beings, other human beings. But then to go a step further and to see where is it all coming from. Ultimately, the source of all the mercies and graces that we are receiving is God Himself. So to feel indebted to God. Jagat Guru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj says that God bestows infinite graces upon us. If we were to compile them, they would not be completely enumerated even in a book. That is the amount of mercy we receive from God. So with all our heart to realize that I am receiving so much from God invokes that quality of devotion. And then from that devotion, comes the desire to start giving. And that giving then really makes sense. There was a teacher who instructed her students to do a good deed, at least one good deed every day. So she said that tomorrow all of you come and report what good deed did you do. The next day the students came to class. The teacher asked one boy, "Let us know what was your good deed for the day." He said, "Ma'am, there was an old lady. I helped her across the road." The teacher said, "Very good. Give him a hand, everyone." All the students clapped. So the teacher asked the next boy, "What was your good deed yesterday?" He said, "Ma'am, there was an old lady and I helped her across the road." The teacher said, "Very good. A hand for you as well." The teacher asked the third boy, "What was your good deed?" He said, "Ma'am, there was an old lady and I helped her across the road." So the teacher said, "How many old ladies were trying to cross the road? You all did the same good deed?" The children said, "Ma'am, there was only one lady. All three of us had to take her across because she did not want to cross the road." So when it comes to doing good deeds, the mere intention is not enough. It must come from a devotional heart. And that devotional heart must have in it a deep sense of gratitude towards God. And when that deep sense of gratitude exists, then the process of giving becomes natural. What can we give? This answer is not the same for everyone because all of us are different. God has bestowed His gifts upon all of us differently. That is why we all possess different talents. We are all situated in different stations in life. We are all engaged in different careers, different professions, different pursuits. So, you simply cultivate your devotional spirit and then start doing every activity of yours with devotion. If you are a scientist, start giving through the career of being a scientist and start pursuing your profession with this desire that I am doing it for the pleasure of God. Let me be able to reveal new things of this material energy which will benefit humankind for the pleasure of God. If you are a businessman, become a businessman like there are some in India and USA that we hear about who engage in business in ethical ways, but their passion is one, to earn as much of money as they can so that they can give it in the service of God. If there is a mother, let it be her pursuit to serve her children in such a manner that their lives become success in accordance with the will of God, and they become great souls, great devotees for the pleasure of God. So, how we give to society can be varied, can be infinite, but the principle is the same. It should stem from a devotional heart, and it should be a natural manifestation of the gifts that we have received from God. And when our giving comes on that platform, we find that God's giving to us starts increasing. When He sees that we are utilizing His gifts in the manner pleasing to him. He enhances his gifts multiple times and increases our opportunity to give further. And then a beautiful relationship is established between God and the devotee, where God gives to the devotee and the devotee gives back to God. And that gift of the devotee is exceedingly pleasing to God and to Guru and truly beneficial to the world.